Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Bookshelf Lunchtime Live. It is Thursday, the 6th of August at about 1 o'clock as I was going to say record this, but we're actually live and we're delighted to have you with us. You're probably watching on Instagram or Insta Live and indeed YouTube. If that's the case, even better. So the point of this is we kind of riff through life and the universe, what we're reading, what we're watching, where we're going, and who we are. It's an existential tour de force. Anyway, we'll be here for the next little while with you. We love your comments because we have lots of people writing in to say hello and what's happening. Now, normally we have Aidan and Tom behind the scenes. Tom got into a massive hissy fit. Like the nicest man in the world. He just said, I've had it with you. You come in here, you scratch down a few words in a piece of paper, and you riff for 40 minutes and you break our hearts. That was it. There were a few expletives in there as well, but I don't want to get into that because I don't want to malign the man. So he's actually just gone away on his holidays with his dad, which is kind of cute, and we miss him. But Aidan has now stepped up, actually doing a great job there, looking quite good in the captain's seat there. James Tiberius Kirk over here. And Kate has been added to the mix there. And Kate's been paid just a little bit extra today to laugh at anything I say, which is really, really decent of her. And she's actually, you're earning her money because she's smiling away there as if she's enjoying herself. So we're going to riff away on what's happening in the world. I'm going to just increase the size of this, Kate, because you're obviously doing this for a young person. Would that be fair to say? This is young person font. I need old man font. Which would be great, so I can actually read what they're saying because it's pretty intense, that tiny little reading thing. But there they are. Thanks so much. That's a brilliant job. Kevin Cleary. Well, Ryan, any thoughts on Christy Moore? Always. The man's still at it, even at All Together Now Festival, aged 80 odd. Well, he's actually a neighbour of mine, and I count him as a friend. A lovely man. And we were unlikely friends, and we are unlikely friends because he's so Christy Moore and I'm so me. And we shouldn't be together, but we share a pot of tea every so often, and he's a delight, and he's got a lot of mischief in him. Love having him on the Late Late Show. He'd do these really intense songs together. And they put out kind of like a rug carpet type thing, and he'd sing, and it was one of the great privileges of presenting the show with music because you got really up close and personal with Christy or Dolores or whoever, all these great singers. So yeah, I think it's brilliant. My youngsters were at All Together Now with their gang. I was getting photographs. I didn't get FOMO because I'm just of an age, but I thought they looked so happy. And the reports from All Together Now were golden. They just had the best time. One or two voices were lost along the way, and that can only be a good sign. So well done to All Together Now. I've never been to it. I'd like to go just in some ways, but I didn't, and I haven't. So good luck to it and to them and to the great Christy Moore, who was obviously brilliant at it, which is great. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned Christy Moore, Kevin, because I've just come from recording an interview with a guy called Dave Lofts. Now, some of you are going, yeah, we know Dave Lofts. Others are going, I've never heard of him. Either way, after we finish this little encounter together here, please go and look up Dave Lofts. In fact, follow him on Instagram immediately. I think he's the future. He sang a song in this little studio, and I was so moved. I was so moved by it that I said after the song, I said, I've sat down beside Christy Moore, Shane McGowan, Christy Dignam, thank you, Dolores O'Riordan. I've seen them all. And Sinead O'Connor. I've seen them all singing as close as you are to me. I said, you're in their league. You were. Do you want me to? Will I find it on my phone for a second? Will this make any sense? Because I was just so taken by him and by his voice. There's just this bit at the end, which I did it all, the rising and fall. I've been beaten and abused and hurt from it all, but I am all that I am. Mommy, take a look at me and tell me you are proud of all I am. Wow. Because I am. I always will be your man. Is that not something? Could you hear that clearly? I mean, honestly, I'm going to post it later, but I just was gobsmacked by it. Dave Lofts. I know this, and I said to him, look, okay, maybe like big horrible name drop, but the reason I know who he is was because my old mate, who's the most famous person I probably know, Russell Russell Crowe. Are they saying it? Yeah. So Russell Crowe we had a dinner in London about 8 months ago. Mad dinner. It was a Chinese restaurant, and so and he knows how to throw a dinner, right? So it's pretty wild, in a nice way, very chatty. And he says to me in the middle of the dinner, right? Have you heard of Have you heard of Dave Lofts? Dave Lofts. Everything has to be spoken in Gladiator. Have you heard of Dave Lofts? And I said, I haven't. He said, oh, the guy's just different league. Have a listen to this. So he puts onto the Bluetooth speaker Dave Lofts singing, and I'm going, wow, what is that? So we followed it up with this interview. It'll be played out on Onic. So if you download the Onic player, you'll hear it on Sunday. But it's really quite something. Did you like it, Kate? Did you like that? He was moving. I'd love to see him live. He's doing a big tour. So anyway, Dave, just as you mentioned Christy Moore, I've got to say, OMG says another. I was just thinking of Russell Crowe. He's been on it for a month. Did he sing Holy? No, that's his big song is called Holy. But I thought that was just. Did you see that gear change he did in the song when he went up another? Ah, it's like wild. Lovely fella from Wicklow originally, now living in Waterford. He came in and we just buzzed off each other. I just really like the cut of his jib. So, yeah, Dave Lofts, Lofts. That is something I think you'll really. Oh, my screen just went. It's something you'll really like. So have a listen to that. Dave Lofts is special, says another. I saw him in Dunmore. There you are. That's where he's kind of living. Just incredible. Salt and the Sea. His song is just brilliant. His version of Running Up That Hill. Oh, I'd love to hear that. Anyway, if I was. If I was in another world, another life, I would have. I don't know if he's been on the Late Late Show, but I would have booked him. I would have booked him on the spot and said, "Get him on immediately," because he really is knockout, and introduce him to the country and say, "Lads, here's Dave Lofts. Here's the future." And Nolene, happy Thursday from the Fla. Well done, Nolene. The Fla in Belfast. I've never been to the Fla. Anyone been to the Fla, Aidan?
Yeah, in Tip. 30 years ago.
You went in County Tipperary 30 years ago for your 5th birthday party.
Maybe 40 years.
Yeah. No, that was beautiful. And when did you go, Kate? 2016 in Ennis. Oh, Ennis. That's probably the heart of it. But Belfast looks. I've seen some footage on Instagram, Nolene. It looks really good. So I hope that was. Hope you're having a great time in the Flat. It looks like great fun. Clodagh says, hello, Ryan and everybody. Hello, Clodagh, and it's nice to have you with us. Hello from Galway, says another message. Opened a self-published only bookshop in Galway. Self-published only bookshop. I hope you're having a great third. Well, what's it called? We encourage people to come your way and have a look in the door. There's so many great bookshops. Charlie Burns bookshop, Kenny's bookshop. And then you have the Eastons and Dubray. They're in there too. But that is just tremendous. So that's great. Megan says, I love Dave. There's a few Dave Lofts fans out there watching in today and listening in. And why wouldn't they be? Okay, so books-wise, let's talk about... Why are you laughing? It's just the mad pivoting. Or is it something you just read? I dread to think. Either way, keep it from me. I don't want to see the bats. Oh, God, the coffee's a bit intense, isn't it? Okay. So, I interviewed Richard Armitage a couple of weeks ago on Times Radio, one of the hats, and he was in Lord of the Rings. He's one of the Hobbit type people, I think. Now, you'll correct me. You watching, you will correct me and say which character he is. Very nice fellow. I've interviewed him a few times. You'll know him. He's in a lot of Harlan Cobeney stuff. That's a word now. And he has written some crime novels. So I would have met him in Iceland Noir in Reykjavik as well. And so we had him on the show because he's in Jesus Christ Superstar, the musical, which is playing on the West End with Sam Ryder as Jesus Christ. And it's a musical I've seen. I went to see it about 20 years ago with a production that was knockout. Very dark, very broody, very mysterious. I loved it. This version is very different to that. It's decided to kind of embrace the camp. So it wasn't one that look, it was fair play, all right? But 2 songs in, I was at the matinee performance, and shout out to the fellow who gave me my ticket. I bought the tickets with a voucher that I got from some friends for my wedding, which was a really nice idea for a present. Tickets, a voucher for the West End. Anyway, and the guy gave me a ticket was called Simon O'Neill from Ireland, working at the ticket desk. So hello, Simon. Very nice fella. I met a family from Tyrone in the queue. We're all going to see the music. They're going to see 5 different things. Anyway, 2 songs in, I'm going, I'm not the sound. I can't hear Mary Magdalene. She's meant to be, well, I can't hear. Anyway, a guy comes out in a suit and says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry. But we have to pause the show to fix the microphones. They're broken. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like, so we had to stick around. That kind of, took about 20 minutes, maybe 15. But it brought the gallop to a halt. You know, you have to buy in. It's suspension of disbelief, like anything. It's like watching the Odyssey and somebody's eating nachos. It's like, stop, can't be doing that. So it kind of brought the thing to a halt, and it was hard to pick it up after that. And then they had to use handheld microphones. The sound wasn't beautiful. But Richard Armitage comes out. He's got a 6-minute cameo as Herod. If you know the musical, you know it's a very funny, campy song, and he's brilliant. After the show, he says, will you come in and say hello to the dressing room? I said, yeah, myself and Clara said, yeah, sure, let's go and see him. I see Richard and say thank you. Going into his dressing room, and he says, I have a gift for you. I said, thanks very much. And he hands me the eyelashes he was wearing on stage as King Herod, because it's, like I told you, it's camp. And I said, thanks a million. And there were 2 red-headed ladies in the dressing room as well, just four of us and Richard. And one of them she was kind of running the show. She was like, she was full of chat and very nice. And the other one was kind of more demure and low key. And I was introduced, hello, I'm Ryan, and this Claire, and hello. And then this other one said, hello. And she looked up and I went, oh, good Lord, it's you. I said, you're so good at what you do. It was Julianne Moore, the beautiful actress. And she was backstage to say, so they were having a chat. And then we said, yeah, we better go. And he said, do you want me to see if Sam is there? Poor old Sam has to wash off a lot of fake blood because, like, he's Jesus. So, it didn't work out so well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be blasphemous or anything, but it wasn't pretty. But he's covered in blood and glitter because when they did the lashes, because in the lashes, right, it's like 1, down, 2, down, 3, and it should be lashes. Like, that was the one I was kind of waiting to see. But because this version is quite Eurovision, like, it's kind of, so it's just a bit, I just don't want to offend anyone. I'm just telling you the truth. But so when it got to the first lash, I was waiting for the kind of like down, and what they do, they reached into a bucket of glitter and hit him. So it was like 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. He was glitter whipped, which I'm sure is probably a thing somewhere. But either way, he was covered in blood and glitter by the end of it, and he had to wash himself off. And we didn't get to see Sam. This is the most preposterous story. But we went out into the sunshine. My life. It's just weird. And we went out into the sunshine, and there must have been about 100 people waiting at the stage door to say well done and thank you. So, yeah, it's a huge success. The bookshop's name in Galway is called Inkbound. Oh, that's a good name. Inkbound. I love that. It's in Gort. Well done. And good luck. The new business. Always great to hear a new bookshop opening. Self-published books. Lisa Owen says, Dave Lofts has a fabulous voice. He really does. I mean, I'm glad I played that little clip because I think I really got a sense of it. He really was a soaring vocal. That's the word, soaring. Ryan, please tell me you've been to Red Books in Wexford. My boy's favourite shop in Wexford. Wally is brilliant. Do you know what? I think I've spoken to Wally. Not sure if I've been in it. I've heard great things. Because and Wally is one of the great lovers of books and reading and authors. So I might be in Wexford again. Do you remember the book I wrote about JFK in Ireland 100 years ago that I was quite certain was destined for nothing but the bargain basement bin, which it did make. It got there. They all end up there. They got there. Little red sticker on it saying, just stop. Just take me. Like, don't even buy me. Not even 99p. Just have me. Just get me out of here. Get me out of this. Anyway, that book, that seems, there's a bit of a surprise story bubbling along there in the background, which could take me back to Wexford. And if I'm in Wexford, I'll come and see Wally. And I'll go to his bookshop and I'll buy stuff. Alex says, so glad I caught the show this week. Absolute highlight of my week. So glad you're keeping this up. Now we need to talk about your week. If this is a highlight, we need to examine what's happening. But what a lovely thing to say. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm deflecting your compliment. I always tell my daughters, just say thank you. So I'm going to eat that medicine and say thank you. You're very kind. We love putting this together because it takes minimal effort from me. Like, I just come in and tell you shit I did, basically. I mean, excuse my language, but you know what I mean. It's just, that's what it is. And then I walk away and the cleaners have to come in and go, "What? Who put this here? Look at this! It's like empty packets of crisps and bottles of 7 Up. There's a discarded brunch wrapper. Like this mess. I mean, that's all a metaphor for them having to cut it together and do clips and stuff. Kate's going to be here till midnight tonight doing essentially. And then also she has to go to the dentist tomorrow because her jaw gets fixed from laughing and pretending to smile. So she has to get that readjusted. This coffee is great, lad. Now, elsewhere, Jade and Jules, the J&J. Ryan, how are you doing? Do you know what? I'm great. I've always loved listening to the podcast, but the first time I've been able to catch it live. Even better, you can watch it because this angelic cherubic face is here for you on YouTube. So it's not just an audio experience anymore, you lucky things. But it's lovely to have you with us, and thank you so much. And you don't mind the way we jump around. I'd be curious to see, you happy that we jump around from stories and clips and stuff like that? We're kind of half thinking of bringing in a guest every now and again. Yeah, would that be nice? Just somebody who we like. Who would you like to see? Who would you like me to riff with about life here? Not necessarily about books, but about life. Jo Spain, I spoke to live in London last Sunday on Times Radio. Spoke to her again this week for Onic. Her book is called Never to Be Found. I've spoken about it before, but I just doubled down on the recommendation. It's terrific. Steve Kavanagh. Do you ever read Steve Kavanagh? He does great. Eddie Flynn is his character. He's got his 10th Eddie Flynn book. It's called I think it's like One of Us Did It. I know that sounds like I just made that up, doesn't it? One of us is guilty, or one of us did it. And it's a couple, a high wealth couple in New York. And there's a murder. And one of us is guilty. One of us did it. What a low, one of us is guilty. Yeah, one of us did it. One of us is guilty. Steve Kavanagh is very good. He's a Belfast lawyer by trade, but he writes New York so well that for the first time in years, I thought, I really want to go back to America. I haven't been to the States for 7 or 8 years. And I kind of got a sense that I'd like to go back. And I don't know why I haven't been back. I don't know whether it's because of our friend, the L'Homme d'Orange, or whether it's just because I couldn't be bothered, or I have no particular reason. But yeah, it's not inexpensive. It would be another issue for sure. Where we go? Ryan, I love your podcast and these chats. What's the piece of media or the book or the movie that if everyone in the world watched, the world would be a better place? Lachlan is in Australia. That'll be Lachlan Murdoch, Rupert's son, in Australia, probably watching in to see how I'm doing, how my progress is going, making sure I don't speak out of turn. But Lachlan, good to hear from you. Book or movie, if everyone would watch, the world would be the better place. I'm currently kind of slightly obsessed with Willy Wonka. Gene Wilder as Wonka I think that movie is very beautiful about childhood, and it doesn't patronize kids. There's greedy kids, there's mean kids, there's bully kids, and there's good kids. And there's mad people like Wonka who I used to channel for the toy show. That madness in the I channeled 4 characters for every year: Willy Wonka, Kermit the Frog, Basil Fawlty, were 3 of them, and Elf, Buddy the Elf, Will Ferrell, and Elf. And I tried to channel all of those to get the kind of the madness of this host, who the kids are going, why is we kind of like him, but he's kind of crazy. I don't quite understand him, but I'm happy enough to hang out because he's not like the other creatures that are really annoying. That is to say, adults. So I channel all of those. So Wonka is a good movie, I think. Shrek as well. I think Shrek has lovely messages, and Shrek's really lovely. So that's quite. I'm sure you're looking for something very erudite. No erudition was harmed in the making of this podcast. And books-wise, I always talk about The Diving Bell and the Butterfly as an entry-level book for people who haven't read for ages and want to read. I think it's a great story. But I don't know if it's the one that would make the world a better place, but it certainly makes you appreciate your place in the world. So I would think about that, Lachlan. That's where I'm going with that. Okay. Maura, O'Donovan's Bookshop in Skibbereen. Oh, I'm sure I've been there back in the day, because Skibbereen has so much famine history, which I'm fascinated. Anyway, 120 years old a couple of weeks ago. Congratulations. I raised my glass of water to you. Congratulations, O'Donovan's. That's great news, and keep going. I look forward to seeing you soon. Luke says, I'm reading The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen, which I've read. I read that about 20 years ago. Big old read that, along with Patrick Kavanagh's collected poems and Ulysses, which I barely made a dent in. There's 3 big plates you're spinning there, but I hope they're going fine for you, and good luck. Good luck with that. Sorry, I'm going to double back on a story. So Joe Spain comes to the studios in London last week, and she's all excited because she is the biggest Lord of the Rings fan I've ever met. And she got excited because I said, coming up in the show, Andy Serkis is joining us. Andy Serkis is the stop motion actor, as well as a real actor and director, who is Caesar in Planet of the Apes, who the women in my life fancy, weirdos, and who is also Gollum in Lord of the Rings, who weirdly they don't fancy. I mean, I don't know how that works. Oh no, we wouldn't fancy Gollum. Oh yeah, but you're okay with the chimp. You people. So I did put it to him. I think I mentioned this last time. I don't know if I did. I said, Andy, why do they fancy Caesar? And he said, because he's a good listener. Like, he's a monkey. Either way, Joe got pretty excited that Andy was in town because she was going to meet Gollum, but unfortunately it was a recorded interview and therefore she didn't get to see him, which I was sorry about. And then I hurt her feelings again by saying 2 weeks previously Richard Armitage was live in studio and he's one of the Hobbity people. So, but anyway, she told me in our most recent interview that she got a gift of a special edition British mint coin, Lord of the Rings, and the way she described it was like Charlie Bucket opening the bar of chocolate and seeing the gold shine within. So that makes her happy. If you do see Joe Spain just talked about Lord of the Rings, she will come alive. Now, here's another. I'm hoping the new tax on Amazon will help local bookstores. People won't pay extra €3 for each print book. I didn't know that. Are they charging extra £3 for a print book on deliveries coming in from Amazon? Yeah. Well, I mean, look at those bookshops you pass by in the street, especially the independent bookshops owned by someone who just loves books. We've heard about Wally, we've heard about the O'Donovans, Louisa and the Raven Bookshop in Blackrock in Dublin. These places are run by people who eat, drink, and sleep books, and they're not earning the biggest amount of money. They're like just brilliant teachers. So if you're in a position to try and go to them rather than Amazon it up. Amazon should always be, if you can, the last resort where you just can't find something or something like that. And now, yeah, with that in mind, so that's a good vibe. I always love the bouncing around with the topics. Oh, thank God! It just feels like you're chatting with friends. Yes, and Aidan and Kate. Yay! Could you imagine living with me? Like, it's torture. It's torture. Yeah. Sorry, what do you mean? Please no. Did you say please or please no? Please no. All right. I mean, I don't know why I come in here. Tom is I miss Tom. Tom would move in with me. Oh, Lordy. Okay. Well, if you love it. Also, if you want, if you're looking for, we are looking for some suggestions. I think now, just off the back of nothing, who would you like to see coming into the show? Coming in to have a chat here for kind of a lunchtime live sort of situation. Lorraine, Ryan, I'm luckily off work today. Hooray! My daughter just messaged me from China, where she's on holidays, to remind me that you are live and to tune in. Wait a minute. Your daughter is in China on her holidays. She's on her phone because she's just goofing around. And she sees the live thing and says, Mammy, that head the ball you like is now live. Tune in. You go, that's great. I'm on a day off. And I tune in. That's a melt. It's a beautiful melt. How's she getting on in China? Is she enjoying herself? I've never been to China. I lived in Japan for 10 days. Had a great time. Hey, and but I've never been to China. I'd like to go. Would you like to go to China? I'd like to go to China. Japan first, yeah. I always describe Japan as being like being shot out of a space shuttle and landing on the set of a Wes Anderson movie. That's Japan. It's great. Do you remember the description? I was talking about Venice the other night. Have you been to Venice? Maybe. No. The airport. That's a start. How about you, Kate? You're younger. Yeah, you wouldn't have appreciated it. Because that was, 2 years ago? You just didn't. You're sitting there going, it's just buildings. All these buildings are old and stupid. It's just water. It's like smelly water. Anyway, Venice. I know I bang on about Venice as being creepy and romantic at the same time, but it is. It's a peculiar place. I kind of like it. But I loved John Banville's description. And I often, for himself and his partner were in Venice, and they came, there were all these narrow little roads and streets or what have you, and they see a big dead rat on the door in the like at the threshold of a door, and he looks at it, and he looks at his wife, and the two of them point at the rat and look at each other and say, "Venice." It's just brilliant. It's just these extraordinary buildings and a dead rat. I mean, look at Don't Look Now, that extraordinary movie with Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie, based on a short story by Daphne du Maurier, who wrote Rebecca and the Birds. What was going on in her head? God, you think I'm off the ball? She's one for the ages. Yeah, Don't Look Now. If you want a creepy film in your life, go for that. Guess would be good, says another. Love all the recommendations. Ryan Dimpna from Arigna in County Roscommon. You must visit our historic mining museum experience soon. How have I missed out on that? I say that in all seriousness because since I was a kid, that was one of the first things you learn about in geography class is the Arigna mines. Never been there. I'll get there someday. I'll be interviewing for Times Radio on Sunday an actor called John Hannah. Ring a bell? Ring a bell? Bueller? Bueller? Yeah, come on, you know it, Aidan. You've got it. You got it. Yeah, heading into the 90s. No, not necessarily. Big movie. Stop All the Clocks. Reads the poem at the end. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. He was the guy who reads the poem, and Kate's just sitting there going, what language are they speaking? Anyway, he's yes, receding hairline. That's how I'll open the interview with him. John, can we talk about your hair? I was chatting to my friend Aidan. He said, I can't quite remember the movies he's been in, but that hairline. Breed says Seamus O'Rourke could be a great guest. Yeah, he's good. That's a good idea. He's a great, isn't he a poet and he's kind of like a Shanachie almost, great storyteller. Colin is listening to A.A. Dan's sequel to The Chemist. It's called The Kingpin. Thanks for the original recommendation. Kingpin's great. The Chemist was great. I haven't read The Kingpin, but The Chemist was great. He's the chemist living. It's in Leeds, and he's working in the chemist, but among the sort of the love-hate type thing, think kin with chemists. And it's a good old yarn. If you know anyone is in the pharmacy business, you'll get a great kick out of that. It's almost like a fantasy book and film for them. Sandra says, Ryan, Woody's and B&Q have books for free. What? I'm in Woody's a fair bit. You can put a small donation into the box if you like. I just got a wonderful Beatrix Potter book for my grandson. He's 8 months old. He's ahead of his time, but that's brilliant. And what a lovely gift, Beatrix Potter. Who was I talking to recently? I was talking to somebody. Oh yeah, a guy. He was quite a political hack. Very nice fella, and he was reading Wind in the Willows for the first time. And just sometimes in your life you just need childhood and return to the days that you're actually happy. Well, I don't, but you know what? It's an unfettered happiness, isn't it? What I mean, at least now you're happy, and then you go, oh yeah, the mortgage, like. Because it's stopped, there's always something. Now you're happy, and then you go, oh, you've got to go to that thing. Whereas with the kids, like, I'm happy, and the next thing is probably going to make me happy as well, and then I'm going to be happy again. It's innocence, yeah, loved it. Anyway, that's their different times. Teresa says, invite Kathy Fleming. She's the author of The Nun of Ravensbrück. I have that book at home. She went visit us in Bantry Bookshop recently, passionate about history and has a very interesting insight into her research. That is a great idea. I think she's with Hachette. Elaine I think she sent me that. Elaine and Hachette, she goes, and same with Declan Heaney in Gilhes. They go, this is Tubridy. This is him. And they always get it right. The Captain's Table. Remember I was telling you about Cannibal Joe? The Captain's Table where they eat the other guy? Okay, was I not telling you about this? The 4 guys on the boat, and they're bringing the boat over to true story. Okay, it's lunchtime. Maybe it's not cool, but and one of them goes, look, we were starving, we're hungry, and we're thirsty, so they kill guy and eat him, and then there's a big court case, which is lovely, and it changes the history, but it's called Captain's Dinner, which is a bit cheeky. But the author was great. He joined us on Times Radio last week, and he was great. The poor Times Radio team were going, you want to talk about what? I said, Kia, Joseph, the Irish guy's back, and he wants to talk about cannibalism on the high seas in the 1880s. And I'm going, how is he here? I say, take out not their notebooks. No one has a notebook anymore, apart from me. This is my notebook. I put everything in here going, God. And then Kate says, are you free to do something in October? And I'll say, I'm not near my notebook anymore. Oh, sorry. Okay. Have you got your quill with you as well? Because we're going to ask you a couple of things to add to your diary. Maybe put it into your phone. I don't like it. Don't like my phone. Another book recommendation came through my door. And I was about 100 pages actually into a crime novel. It just wasn't working for me. I just needed a break from it. I'll probably go back to it. But this one is by a guy who I know for 100 years, but that's got nothing to do with this recommendation. Miles Dungan used to present radio in on RTE when I was there. I don't know if he still does the history show. It's been a while. But he's a great historian. And look, this book, I'm sorry to be so superficial, but I just love a Victoriana book. I love a book with kind of Victorian imagery and typeface. I'm showing it to you on YouTube if you're watching. It's called The Plot Against Ireland. I'm already interested. The forger, spies, con men, and terrorists who conspired against Irish home rule. And I started it last night. I was so exhausted that I couldn't get into it as much as I'd love to. But the description of 3 guys in a boat, here we go again, no one gets eaten. They actually get blown up. And they're trying to set a bomb under London Bridge, which is where I work on a Sunday. So I was all over it. And it is very atmospheric. I just feel the 1880s, 1890s, you're into Sherlock territory and true crime. It's fascinating. So The Plot Against Ireland by Miles Dungan. If you've got a history lover in your life and you're looking for a recommendation, or if you want to mark it down in your diary for a Christmas read, we'll do more of this in due course. Put it there. Sorry, I just remember. So my eldest daughter came into the house the other day, and my books are a bit out of control. I don't have a very big house, but it's enough. And there's books. She said, Dad, the books. I said, I know, I can't help it. I can't. She said, it's starting to look like the house of a mad professor. The house of a mad professor. It's beginning to, no, but now it's just, it's out of control. And the problem is, I get sent loads. That's great. I want to read more. The TBR list, the to be read, is completely out of control. And I can't say goodbye to them. I don't want to get rid of them. So anyway, yeah, I've become Craticus Potts with books. It's I'll be one of those people. Yeah, the hoarding programs where they're going, this man used to be well known in Ireland. He's now a strange book hoarding fool with a podcast. Yeah, well, everyone's got a podcast, but no one keeps this amount of books. Yes. Why do you do it? For the attention. And the books? Oh, no, I thought you meant. Okay. Sandra says, Woody's in Sandyford Industrial Estate do the books. Thank you, Sandra. That's good to know. Jade says, I am reading London Falling, one of my books of the year. Easily. 2026 by Patrick Radden Keefe. He wrote Say Nothing. I don't often read nonfiction, but both books are fantastic. They really are. He writes history as ever. He writes history as the way some people write novels. It's just really exciting. So somebody described it very interestingly to me earlier this week, and it was their other half's description. They said it's a bad story told well. Isn't that interesting? The point being that the story they felt wasn't that interesting, really, but he told it really well, which I thought was a great description. Bad story told well. So, and Amy, do you ever get bored? That's a great question. That's a really good question. And the answer is rarely. It's funny, I was saying this to somebody only yesterday. I always have somewhere to be if I want to be there, but I don't always have to go. So therefore, like today I had to be here, but I wanted to be here. So it's not boring. But if I had to be somewhere else later on that I knew was going to be boring, that's tough. Do I get bored? I've noticed Claire says to me now, if we're at something, she'll say after about 1 hour and 56 minutes, who's counting? And she'll see the fingers on my knees start to drum. And she said, I think we're losing them. We're losing them. And that can be an issue. But if I find something boring, I tend to find myself not there. In other words, I walk away intellectually, emotionally, sometimes physically. I'll just go, I can't. My friend Jack, who used to work with me on the radio show on RTE, used to say, I think he was saying it was like diminishing. By the time I was finishing up there, Don't get me started. But the time as I was finishing, we can talk about it now. It's all fine. But by the time I was finishing up, he said, I used to have 30 seconds to pitch something to you. He said, I think we're heading towards seeing single figures because you check out, like, unless you're really into it. So, for example, this book landed at the door and I went, tell me more. Another book would come in, like with a really airy fairy cover that I'm just going, oh, that looks like. Rah. So no, I'm rarely bored. Last night I didn't have the capacity to watch anything long, so I watched Only Connect, my favorite quiz show on TV. I think I got one thing right, and then I watched a classic episode of The Twilight Zone, about 20 minutes short. Rod Serling introduces it, and this particular episode he had written it, and it was about a poor woman, a single lady in her 40s, who had to mind her Uncle Simon, who was a tyrant, and he also was a scientist. And the places that story went, by the end of it, I was going, what are they all eating and smoking in Twilight Zone land? Because it's just out of this world. But no, I very rarely get bored, and I just don't allow myself. I think life is too short to be bored. Now, you may be asking, do you ever calm down? And the answer is yes. I'll go to a coffee shop with my crossword, and I don't really want to be interrupted because I just love that half an hour on my own. And then I'll talk and all the rest of it. But I love that sort of time. So yeah, I do calm down. I love watching a movie and all that sort of thing. But no, there's always something to do. I've stuff to do this afternoon. I've stuff to do tomorrow. I got invited to the horse show. I might go to that. I mean, that since I was a kid. You know, there's always something to do. I'm trying to half write this book that we've talked about before. That's quite interesting, but I need to focus a bit more on that. So anyway, the psychological profile. What the hell's happening? Kate, I'm reading Clara and Katrina, a debut by Andrew Cunning. It's superb. A book about books as a young writer, interviewers, an older writer. Very clever, written with beautiful understatement. What a lovely recommendation. Thank you, Kate. Jamie in Northamptonshire. Hello, Jamie. A huge fan of your podcast. Love listening to it after a day at work as matron of a hospice. Well, good for you for what you do there. Any potential live shows in the UK, in the Midlands in the future? Should I forget? Listen, what? Could you imagine if I land in Northamptonshire and say, hello, everybody. My name is Brian Tidbury, or whatever you want to call me, and I'd like to do a podcast in the Midlands in the UK. They'd all be saying, who's he and why? Why would he ever think that we'd want to come and see him doing a podcast? What I'd say is we're looking at doing a couple more, maybe locally in Dunleary around Christmas time. We'll keep you posted on that. What I really want to do, if I can convince them to let me, I'd love to do a kids one, a kids books, like a matinee show, to get kids in and do reading and stuff like that. So say, Jamie, if I don't, I might do one. I'd love to do a bookshelf live in one of the Irish centres, maybe in Hammersmith. That would be good fun. So we might consider that, but that means you'd have to get on the train. Tilly says, extension for the house, get a book room. Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I'd love to do that. But to be honest with you, Tilly, my house is essentially a book room. It's just shelves everywhere. They're everywhere. Do you have a setup for reading or just read whenever you are free? These are great questions. I would say there's a chair in my kitchen that's by the door that throws lovely light on the page. And it's got a little table beside me. So if I'm having coffee and biscuits, well, people object to my biscuit choice. I'll just say what they are briefly. I like fig rolls. People vomit emoji. I can see it coming in already. I like all the Kimberly Mikado and coconut creams. I like all the Jacob's biscuits because they're great and they're delicious. I like those. People, again, vomit, say I don't like those, but I'm sorry for your trouble, but I love them. I like Leonidas chocolates. If I'm really feeling like an aristocrat, I'll get a little bag of those. No, really, I'll get, and they'll say, a box, I said, just a little bag, the crinkly plastic bag, and they shove in, I said, the white chocolate, the white coffee creams, no nuts, pas de noisette. And it's not that I don't like nuts, I just don't want to be crunching at them. Just want a nice little soft. And then anything with orange in it. Again, vomit emoji, but that's what I am. When you're born in the 19th century, you have this taste palette that is a bit unusual. So that's it. I read if I have time in the morning before getting out of bed with coffee. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and I always read when I go to bed. Always, I just love it. It's the nicest way to fall asleep is with a good book. Ryan, you should see my mother's house. Soon we won't get in the door with the book piles. Yeah, she's like me, and more on the way. Books are magic, and you live longer with jelly babies. I mean, I'll take it. I absolutely love jelly babies as it happens. So thank you. Luke said, read Mark O'Connell's A Thread of Violence. Is that the Malcolm MacArthur book about about that infamous case back in the day? Okay. Mike Wozniak is going to be a guest of ours on Sunday. So he's a person of interest. And those of you who watch when you were kids, Blue's Clues, will be glad to know that Steve Burns will be joining us as well. So that'll be fun. That's on Times Radio. Download the Times Radio app and join us between 1 and 4 on a Sunday. And we do another show, an Irish syndicated show on a Sunday between 10 and 1, and that's on the Onic app. That's Onic, if you want to download that. Because people are going, where do we find you? You'll find us everywhere, including here. So that's the gist of things. I think we're drawing to a close now. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. Nothing wrong with that biscuit choice. You and me both. We're ad idem on the biscuits. Thank you. That was lively show today. Great comments. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. We'll do it again. I'm just checking my diary. Mock me just to see. Do I have this in? I have it in for next Thursday at 1 o'clock. Aidan, are we okay? And will Tom join us back then?
He'll be back.
Kate, I can hear your relief. She's gone. She's already out the door. She's gone. Okay, well that's good news. Yeah, gosh, busy times. Okay, good. Well, that's all good. You've been fab. Aidan, thank you. Well done. Kate, well done. Woo. And thank you all very much. Have a beautiful Thursday afternoon and into the weekend, and we'll do it all again next. What a pro. See you next time.